Now let's look at the internalization. So how are we going to address the localizations? But most of the scenarios, RESTful endpoints will not have the internalization, because here we are taking the request and updating it as it is required. But few scenarios we need to respond when we are responding the messages. For example, welcome user. When I'm saying welcome user, I can send localized message instead of the default English one. So how are you going to handle that? So let's implement internalization at our REST endpoint. Let's create a new controller class. Let's say I18N controller, REST controller, and the request mapping. Let's say API / I18N. Let's create a get method. Public. I'm returning simple string here. And here I'm returning welcome. And let's annotate with get mapping. So now how are we going to capture the locale? First of all, we need to capture the locale. Locale will be set at the header level. Now let's capture the locale using the Spring library. So the locale context holder dot get locale, and this would be providing locale object for us. Now we need to load the resources and get the value from the resource file using the locale. Auto wire resource bundle message source. So let's say it is a message source, and for the message source we need to use the key arguments and the locale. So in this case I'm going to say welcome, and for now arguments are null and the locale is locale. Now let's create the resource file. So that would be messages.properties. By default English would be default locale. So here let's create welcome is equal to, I'm saying that default welcome dear user. Save all the files and start the server. Server has been started. Let's test the endpoint. Create a new request and send it. Now we got default message. So let's implement for another locale. Let's say French. So let's create another file. So this time we need to give the locale. So fr I'm giving it. And as part of the fr message, here I am saying fr and save it. We don't need to do any other thing. We just need to provide the properties file as part of the resources. Now when I send it with the default, I get the default. Now I need to send the locale. Locale will be sent as part of the header. So let's send the language, accept language. Yes, fr. Send it. Now we got the message from the different property file, which is messages_fr properties file. Now here I would like to capture username instead of the default user. Here I'm saying the default dear user. I would like to give the user what it is being passed. So let's capture it as a request parameter. Say user, and I would like to send user as here. Okay, as it is expecting an object array, we need to pass as an array. So new string or object array, and I am passing user. Now we need to update the messages. So we'll go here and we will be saying the parameter with angular brackets and with the index. So that is the first one. So here also we will be updating as 0. Save all the files. Server has been reloaded. Let's pass the user as Ranga and send the request. Now we got as Ranga with the default locale. Let's change the locale as fr and send it, and we got fr and the dear Ranga, which we have passed as a variable. So this is how we are going to substitute the values inside the properties. Here we have seen to capture the locale using the locale context holder, and another way is as a request header. Now we captured the locale as a request header, because request header takes the value. So we need to say that value is equals to accept language, and save all the files and run the test. Now we got as we expected. So if I change it to the en, which is a default one, we get the default one. If I don't pass anything, then we get the error, and we are expecting accept language, because by default request headers are in a required true. So we need to set the default value, in this case default value as en, and save all the files and send the request. Now it would get the default profile and the message will be translated. So it's up to us whether we need to accept as a request header or to use a local context holder. I would recommend to use local context holder because it takes care of capturing the value, validating it, and setting default values. So far we have learned how to translate the message using resource bundle, and the resource bundle requires local, and that can be captured from the request header or from the local context holder. And we need to provide the translations inside the messages.properties and the local, and for the other languages we need to provide messages underscore fr or underscore the local. Now after that, resource bundle message source of the Spring framework will take care of fetching the details using the key and the arguments that we pass. Along with that, we need to pass the local also to get it translated